Hello, welcome to the dark side of the library. I'm Carrie. I'm here with my co host, Katie, and we
Hello.
are going to chat today about the interesting, intriguing, dark non-fiction books that came out in April 2023. Now, we don't have any of these books on hand. We haven't read them yet. We've just been watching for them and checking out the catalogs, and we're so excited to get our hands on them. So we can't tell you what's inside, but we're just going to take a peek at what the publishers had to say over on Amazon. And speaking of which, if you want to check out any of these books, we have a podcast and a YouTube description area with affiliate links. So you can go click on these to learn more about them. So I think Katie is going to start us off today with her first dark nonfiction book.
Yes, and it's magical. So our first one, it's actually flexi-bound, which I kind of like this for a tarot and astrology guide. It is called Cosmic Cards. It is a modern astrology and tarot guide, and it came out April 18th, and it's by Maisy Bristol. I was literally just talking to friends about astrology before we started live streaming, so it's kind of funny. I was trying to find my star chart and everything. So with this book, I could have done that very easily. So we are looking at how astrology and tarot work together in this book in a more contemporary way. Astrology has long told us that, like, Tauruses is a comfort-loving homebody who loves routine, while Geminis, on the other hand, is like an extroverted social butterfly, which does seem true because that is my mother, who craves variety. Definitely my mother. So, but as the universe expands and we become even more multifaceted, surely this blinkered outlook is no longer reflective of the times we live in. By reading astrology through the lens of tarot, we can uncover how to broaden our minds, smash stereotypes, and discover the different facets of each sign's personality to reveal a deeper insight into us, ourselves, our friends, family, lovers, etc. I like this. I think we do need more of a contemporary astrology guide, and I love integrating tarot with it. So this
I
is
love that.
yeah, it's very cool. So this is Cosmic Cards. This is by Maisy Bristol.
My first book today is The Crystal Year, Crystal Wisdom Through the Seasons. I'm not personally a crystal user, but I do love seasonal witchy books, so I do want to check it out. It's by Claire Titmus. Quadrille Publishing is the publisher. We love them. This book came out April 18. It's split into 12 months. It teaches you how to harness the properties of all the crystals that are lurking in your collection by aligning them with key dates and seasons. That would be very useful. So in January, we use carnelian to support our New Year goals. In February, find out if rose quartz can help us find our Valentine. I already have my Valentine.
Aww.
And then as the evenings get darker, discover just why emerald is the perfect crystal to help you survive Scorpio season. My dad's a Scorpio. It's tough.
Yes.
There's some wonderful Scorpios out there.
Yes, there are.
Well, this book is making me want to buy some crystals now. So, as well as key crystals for the month, Claire is going to guide us through symbols and superstitions from the natural world and share very important self-care rituals, meditations, and affirmations. This sounds wonderful. This would be a great gift book.
Yeah.
I think I have a Virgo friend that would actually really enjoy this. So
Yeah.
that's The Crystal Year, Crystal Wisdom Through the Seasons.
I think I have a friend who might need that book too. Yay, gifts! This one's definitely not magical at all. This is called Ending Epidemics, A History of Escape from Contagion. This is by Richard Conniff, and the publisher is the MIT Press, so it's very educational. Keep that in mind. So I'm just going to read what the publisher has to say. How scientists saved humanity from the deadliest infectious diseases, and what we can do to prepare ourselves for future epidemics. So it's not a super downer, it's hopeful, which is great. After the unprecedented events of the COVID-19 pandemic, it may be hard to imagine a time not so long ago when deadly diseases were a routine part of life. It is harder still to fathom that the best medical thinking at that time blamed these diseases on noxious miasmas, bodily humors, and divine dyspepsia. So there's, yes, the four humors. I always forget that. That's a big historical lesson I learned that I, for some reason, I remembered. This all began to change on a day in April in 1676 when a little known Dutch merchant described bacteria for the first time. This is so cool. Beginning on that day in Delft and ending on the day in 1978 when the smallpox virus claimed its last known victim. Ending Epidemics explains how we came to understand and prevent many of our worst infectious diseases and double average life expectancy. I love this book because this is something I've actually thought about, especially after COVID. I've always thought, how is it that we did go from, and it wasn't that long ago, like the four humors and that kind of thing, to now with modern technology and understanding bacteria. Where's that connection there? It almost seems like, oh, now we just understand. But I'm excited to learn about this. It is called Ending Epidemics, A History of Escape from Contagion. This is by Richard Conniff.
My next book is for history lovers. It's called The Escape Artist, The Man Who Broke Out of Auschwitz to Warn the World. It's going to be a heavy, sad read. It's set in April 1944. Rudolf Verba became one of the very first Jews to escape from Auschwitz and make his way to freedom. There was only a tiny handful of people that ever pulled off that near impossible feat. He did so to reveal the truth of the death camp to the world, because in 1944, we did not know what was going on. And of course, we didn't have the massive media machine like we have today, and we didn't have spy satellites.
Yeah.
He warned the last Jews of Europe what fate awaited them. So against all odds, Verba and his fellow escapee, Fred Wetzler, climbed mountains, crossed rivers, and narrowly missed German bullets until they'd smuggled out the first full account of Auschwitz the world had ever seen. And they had a very detailed report that eventually reached Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, and the Pope. And yet too few heeded the warning that he'd risked everything to deliver. He helped save 200,000 Jewish lives by doing this. So it's the story of a brilliant but troubled man, a gifted escape artist who, even as a teenager, understood the difference between truth and lies can be the difference between life and death. That's The Escape Artist, The Man Who Broke Out of Auschwitz to Warn the World by Jonathan Freedland. It comes out April 25.
I think I might have to pick that one up. That one sounds really intriguing. Yeah, deep too.
We need to know the history. We don't want it to ever happen again.
Absolutely. My next book is an art book. It is a collaboration, actually. It is H.R. Geiger, Debbie Harry, Metamorphosis, creating the visual concept for KooKoo. And I had no idea this was a thing. So the artwork for Harry's 1981 debut solo KooKoo album cover was deemed so frightening. It was originally banned on the London Underground.
I get it.
I just love that. I was like, what? That's funny. So the fantastical videos for two of the tracks on the album, Backfired and Now I Know You, featured Geiger himself piercing an Egyptian sarcophagus and a newly brunette Harry reimagined as a xenomorphic Geiger creature, which is very cool. And you can actually see that on the cover here. There are photographs and words by Chris Stein, who was Harry's long-term collaborator. There's artifacts and sketches from Geiger's archive, which of course is going to be amazing. This has got an introduction by Debbie Harry, but the author himself is Chris Stein, kind of coming back and taking all of these, the imagery, placing it in this book and having words with Debbie Harry and Geiger and all of these things. It sounds really cool. This is a great coffee table book for sure. It's going to, I mean, your loved ones are going to be like, what is this book when they walk into your house?
Do you remember when Debbie Harry was in Videodrome? Like,
no.
This lady took risks and she was in a whole bunch of really weird stuff. And I love how open-minded she was and how intrigued by the dark side of life she was, or at least of art.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I absolutely. This is a really cool, especially if you do like dark art, and H.R. Geiger is amazing and a trendsetter for this. This is Debbie Harry Metamorphosis, creating the visual concept for KooKoo. This is by Chris Stein, and Debbie Harry does the introduction.
My next book is called If You Should Go at Midnight, Legends and Legend Tripping in America.
Ooh.
It's by Jeffrey S. Debies-Carl. University Press of Mississippi is the publisher. It comes out April 21, which is today. So tonight, across America, countless people will embark on an adventure. They will prowl among overgrown headstones in forgotten graveyards, stalk through darkened woods and wildlands, and creep down the crumbling corridors of abandoned buildings. They've set forth in search of a profound paranormal experience, and they may seem to achieve just that. They're part of the growing cultural phenomenon called legend tripping. I have never heard of this.
I love it.
Oh, so the author guides readers through an exploration of legend tripping, drawing on years of scholarship, which is where University Press of Mississippi comes in, documentary accounts, and his own extensive field work. So it's kind of like he's a sociologist watching from the outside. He looks over old reports and legends. He went to sleep in haunted inns and trekked through wilderness full of cannibal mutants and strange beasts. And now he has an in-depth analysis of the practice that's long fascinated scholars, but remained a mystery to many observers. And he's going to argue that legend trips are important social practices. Unlike traditional rites of passage, they reflect the modern world, revealing its problems and its virtues. This sounds very interesting. I'm going to pick it up, except I'm going to get it on Kindle because the hardcover is $99.
Oh,
Hell no. The Kindle's $22, so that's
Yeah.
better. That's a lot
Yes.
for a Kindle book. Maybe I'll get it from the library. That's If You Should Go at Midnight by Jeffrey S. Debies-Carl.
Oh, I want more time for nonfiction reads because it takes me longer to read them, because this next book is also very appealing to me. It is Japanese Yokai and Other Supernatural Beings, Authentic Paintings and Prints of 100 Ghosts, Demons, Monsters, and Magicians. This came out April 11th, and this is by Andreas Marks. This is really cool. I love yokai. I like Japanese horror specifically. I think it's creepier personally, especially when it comes to supernatural beings. It freaks me out. So
that
these
culture has had a long time to make up creepy legends.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
I mean,
just
they
the
were
landscape.
writing before Europe was, so.
Right. And just, if you think about the landscape, like the creatures there, some of the bugs there are a little bigger, it just makes sense that a lot of things can be creepier, really dark, eerie forests and stuff. So there's a lot of room to, like your imagination can go wild. So this actually does take illustrations and wood block prints from back then and puts it all into this book, so you can actually learn about different Japanese yokai and see their photo. You could probably see the cover on Amazon here. We have one very creepy yokai, very subtle, but it's still very creepy. So we have a couple of them I'll read off. We have a bakaneko, which is monster cats in human form who lick lamp oil and prey on humans born in the year of the rat.
That's oddly specific.
I think it's so cute too, because I'm sorry if you were born as a rat. I'm kind of grateful I'm a snake. We have a Hanya, which is a female demon with sharp and pointed horns, metallic eyes, and a smirking smile. Oh. We have a Hihi, which is a large ape-like monster who live in the mountains and have superhuman strength, enabling them to kidnap and kill humans. We also have a Mikoshi Nyodo, which is a yokai with an enormously extended neck who only appears at night, which would be so just creepy if you saw something with just a weird long neck humanoid. Ugh. So there's a lot of beautiful visual examples in the book, which are drawn from early Japanese prints, like I said, paintings and books. Some of the sources that you will find are from like the Art Institute of Chicago, the Cleveland Museum of Art, Kyoto University Main Library. So they've taken all of these places and placed them in this book. It's not too long. It's 240 pages, but it's really cool and informative. So this is Japanese Yokai and Other Supernatural Beings, Authentic Paintings and Prints of 100 Ghosts, Demons, Monsters, and Magicians by Andreas Marks.
My next book is the incredibly cheerful Pathogenesis, A History of the World in 8 Plagues by Jonathan Kennedy. And I'm going to read it when I'm depressed to cheer me up. It's, according to the accepted narrative of progress, humans have thrived thanks to their brains and their brawn. We've collectively bended the arc of history, But in this revelatory book, Professor Jonathan Kennedy argues that the myth of human exceptionalism overstates the role that we play in social and political change. Actually, it's the humble microbe that wins wars and topples empires. Ooh. So this professor looked at the latest research in fields ranging from genetics and Katie's favorite anthropology to archaeology and economics. The book is going to take us through 60,000 years of history, exploring 8 major outbreaks of infectious disease that have made the modern world. So bacteria and viruses were protagonists in the demise of the Neanderthals, sad face, the growth of Islam, the transition from feudalism to capitalism, the devastation wrought by European colonialism, and the evolution of the United States from an imperial backwater to a global superpower. Even Christianity rose to prominence in the wake of a series of deadly pandemics that swept through the Roman Empire in the 2nd and 3rd centuries. Caring for the sick turned what was a tiny sect into one of the world's major religions. This is going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So disease is placed at the center of his wide-ranging history of humankind. And since I was a big fan of Jared's book, Guns, Germs, and Steel, I'm going to have to follow it up with this one. It's Pathogenesis, A History of the World in 8 Plagues by Jonathan Kennedy.
That sounds very interesting. This one is also very interesting. There's so many good nonfiction reads. This one's called Presence, The Strange Science and True Stories of the Unseen Other. And this was something we actually missed in March. This is by Ben Alderson Day. This is a psychologist's journey to understand one of the most unusual experiences known to humankind, the universal, disturbing feeling that someone or something is there when we are alone.
I hate that.
That's such an interesting study. So these experiences of sensing a presence when no one else is there have been given many times. Sorry, that for some reason.
Do they mean like a ghost or a presence in
just like you start to get, when your hairs start to kind of prickle up and you have no idea why, you're just like, this feels
unless
wrong.
You have a stalker and then your stalker's looking through your window, but
right. Yes. So we have examples like the third man, guardian angels, shadow figures, social hallucinations, and they have inspired, unsettled, and confounded in equal measure. While the contexts in which they occur are diverse, they are united by a distinct and uncanny feeling of visitation by another. But what does this feeling actually mean, and where does it come from? When and why do presences emerge, and how can we even begin to understand a phenomenon that can be transformative for those who experience it and yet so hard to put into words? And it's true. It's like a weird primal feeling where you're like, oh,
have you ever had the one where you're laying in bed and it feels like something sits on you?
Oh, that is actually a mythological thing too. Like that's
and it's not a sexual thing. It's just like
no. There's like I think it's called like the witch. There, I think it's actually Eastern European thing that they would describe it as like the witch kind of like sitting on your chest, feeling like you're suffocating. It's crazy. So the answers to these questions lie in this tour de force through contemporary psychology, psychiatry, neuroscience, and philosophy. This book follows Ben Alderson Day's attempts as a psychologist and researcher to understand this experience, how this experience is possible, what is a voice when it isn't heard, and how otherwise do we know or feel that someone is in our presence? Is it a hallucination connected to psychosis or a change in the working of the brain, or is it just something else? This sounds really fun. So it helps us understand, like, he does different interviews with like explorers, mediums, even robots, it says, which is interesting, and a step through real, imagined, and virtual worlds. Whoa, this is kind of crazy book. It's only 304 pages. This is published by St. Martin's Press. This is called Presence by Ben Alderson Day. It sounds really cool.
Wouldn't that be weird if a ghost could also haunt you through your favorite MMORPG video game of choice? You're just trying to play a game and you're like, wait, did that just happen?
Yeah. No.
No, please don't
I
haunt
just
me.
wanted to relax today.
My final book today is The Ugly History of Beautiful Things: Essays on Desire and Consumption. It's
Ooh,
by Katie Kelleher. Comes out April 25 from Simon & Schuster. So Kelly has spent much of her life chasing beauty. As a child, she picked purple, fragrant flowers from the earth. She picked beautiful iridescent sea cells from the beach, as you do, and she dug for turquoise stones in her backyard. And a teenager, she put glittery shimmer on her eyelids, as I did this morning myself,
yes.
and she put on orange blossom and jasmine perfume. And as an adult, she wanted gleaming marble countertops and delicate porcelain to beautify her home. So this obsession with beauty, which I'm not judging, led her to become a home, garden, and design writer. That's nice. And she studied how beautiful things are mined and grown and made, blah, blah, blah. But then she realized that most of us are blind to the true cost of our desires. Because whenever you find something unbearably beautiful, look closer and you'll inevitably find a shadow of decay lurking underneath. This is where it
Oh,
starts getting good.
yay.
So she's going to blend in these essays in this book science, history, and memoir to uncover the dark underbellies of our favorite goods. She's going to ruin shopping for me forever, I have a feeling.
No.
She reveals the crushed beetle shells in our lipstick,
Oh, well, all
the
right.
musk of rodents in our perfume,
Yep, I knew about that actually.
and the burnt cow bones baked into our dishware. So, vegans and vegetarians, such as myself, beware.
Yeah.
She untangles the secret history of silk, and we know that silk is pooped out by worms. Sorry. She muses on her problematic prom dress, and she tells the story of countless workers dying in their efforts to bring us shiny rocks from unsafe mines that shatter and wound the earth,
Yeah.
all because a diamond company created a compelling ad. She's going to look at the enduring appeal of the beautiful dead girl and the sad fate of the ugly mollusk. I'm in. I definitely want to read these. This is
Yeah.
The Ugly History of Beautiful Things: Essays on Desire and Consumption, and maybe it will help my credit card get a little break.
I feel it. So, as you can tell, this is an amazing list of awesome nonfiction reads that are coming out in April. Stay tuned for other reads that are coming out in April 2023. That includes, we have YA and children's coming up. So, you'll see our episodes published every Wednesday and Friday. We also have tarot cards coming up, too, speaking of consumption. There's a lot of great tarot cards coming out this
There's
year,
no
too.
crushed beetles in our tarot cards.
I hope not. Don't ruin tarot cards. Ugh. Anyway, so make sure to spread the word to your friends about this podcast. It really helps. And to like and subscribe. Let us know what you like about Dark Side of the Library. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.